Good morning and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a fantastic weekend wherever you are around this beautiful planet of ours. Today, guys, let me know where you are watching in from with a little flag emoji. The market has been basically the same since Friday. I didn't get a video out yesterday. It was my daughter's second birthday, so I decided to spend more time out of the house than in the office here. But on the previous video, we looked at a heads or tails. The answer was tails. So I'm going to go through your questions in today's video based on the comments that you left from the previous video. So let me know where you're watching in from. Throw your emoji down for the flag of the country that you're from. Love to see that and see where everyone is watching in from. So today we got big titles. Worst case scenario here. Check out the worst case going on for Bitcoin. I've got key specific levels based on macro turning points. And I'm also going to go through Bitcoin buying zones as well, just as a slight recap, because as I went through those questions, I saw a lot of people asking a very, very similar question there. You know, is now the time? Should I be waiting? What are you looking out for? So I think it's just important to go through it. And for the algorithm, why not? Look, 40% drop. We're going to have a look at that on the chart. I'm not telling or saying that it has to do that. Of course, this is all probabilities based on our zones. And, you know, all of this is on the back of the FTX collapse. So a lot of people are expecting far, far lower prices, which is another thing I noticed during going through those comments. People looking now for a 6K. First, it was a 12 or 14K. Now we've broken to the 10K. That's very common out there right now. And what seems to be happening is that we are flipping to the 6K. Basically, everyone's saying we got to go to 6K, which is essentially this zone that the market was holding up from last cycle, broke down, pushed back above, and then continued to hold it as support, except for the pandemic crash. So we're starting to get a move to lower targets, which is very, very interesting, especially at this stage of the market. You know, we just keep reassessing, saying, no, it's going to go lower, it's going to go lower. And then eventually people miss out. It happens every single time. If you weren't here in the previous cycle, the 2017, 2018, what happened was we were looking at 6K. It was holding. It didn't look like it wanted to bounce. It had to break down. We got to 3,100, 3,200. From that point, there were a lot of people calling 1,800 because it was the next key level. That was the monthly swing bottom. And then all the way down to the previous top, around $1,200, some calling for 13. And what happened from that point, everyone was waiting for that 1,800, 1,200, something under $2,000. And then it pushed really hard, quite fast, up to 14,000. Of course, we trickled back down over the months, but this was a very long period of time. I wonder if that is going to happen again. Everyone's sort of waiting for a lower price and a lower price, and then a lower price, and obviously it doesn't come. I'm sure you guys have seen that before, or at least starting to hear about that now. So I would be very, very wary of people who are waiting now for $6,000. All right. Let's look at fear and greed, because there is a divergence continuing on here. The market has closed stable in terms of price, but the fear and greediness is climbing, meaning it's moving out of extreme fear. We had 21, 23, 23 over the last couple of days. It's just climbing a little bit here. So clear divergence going on between the market sentiment, how people are feeling about the market, and the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now, overall, like you can see in my title, I've probably got something like crypto not going to make it. I've remained with that same view even through the bull market. I use cryptos to make more Bitcoin, more USD, more ETH, whatever other better value asset I think is out there. I don't think any of these cryptos are going to make it. This obviously the one or two, but I can't say that for all 20,000 of them. So that's why I talk specifically about cryptos not going to make it as a whole. That's what we've seen many, many times before. One of those is obviously FTX, the dramas, the scandals. I mean, if you want to stay up to date and, I don't know, waste your valuable time here on planet Earth with knowing what Sam Bankman-Fried is doing and screwing and whatever else is going on, you've got Twitter to go and do that on. I'm not going to waste your time with that. We can see the FTX token price pumped, it dumped, probably manipulated extremely hard through this period to try and get bigger valuations of the company. You know, it was valued at 32 billion, try and get more investor funds. And of course, they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And the whole thing went belly up and dumped. I'm going to use that as a huge lesson moving forward, just because these guys have some sort of MIT graduate, which I didn't really give a shit about before, but even talking about working on Wall Street, you know, they had 12 months doing a job in JP Morgan or whoever else. That is often pumped up in the bull markets in cryptocurrency as a huge, medal of honor, and then people go and invest on the back of that. It's not just retail, us guys, it's even the professionals, the so-called smart money, which of course eventually was dumb money. So even they use that as a way and a reason to invest in these sorts of companies. So big lesson moving forward, doesn't matter what sort of education is said to have that you have, always comes down to experience. So that's what I take out of that. FTX basically done with now. Total cryptocurrency market cap, quick look, 800 billion, 836 billion. Still at the top, Bitcoin, ETH, stablecoin, BNB, stablecoin, XRP, ADA, Doge, Polygon. All right, so to the stable coins, why I brought that up, because this is going to help us decipher some of the worst case scenarios here for crypto as well. Market cap still sitting around 146 billion for all of the stable coins. I often reference about $150 billion for stable coins. And really, you go past the top four, there's not really too much else going on here in terms of total market cap for them. Tether, USDC, BUSD, and DAI. Now, a quick lesson from USDT and USDC this cycle. Just remember 3, 5, 6 months ago, the fear came back in for USDT and USDC. So thinking about worst case scenarios here, we were told that USDC was the best one, and there was a whole lot of FUD going out towards USDT, where then we saw the total volume of USDT fall, USDC increase. Now that is basically reversed, and USDC has gone from 60 or 70 billion market cap back down to 44 billion, and Tether has basically remained where it is and was slowly climbing. But overall, the total space for stablecoins is declining. People are just taking profits out of the market. So take that as a lesson again. I don't know how many times USDT was fudded last cycle. I'm not saying it can't collapse like any of these in the future. This is crypto. Anything can collapse here. But in terms of the FUD and what narrative they want to push, pay particular attention to that and then use that as a lesson moving forward. Also, going through comments for probably the last several weeks, there's a lot of people that specifically reference USDT and Bitfinex. It sounds like a whole massive scam going on there, especially with all those other comments about Amazon coin or whatever other scam there is. But yeah, the whole thing about USDT and Bitfinex sounds quite fishy. Whether that is a real scam or it's just another FUD campaign going out for Bitfinex and USDT, I don't know. But either way, I'm not going to hold my life savings in any of these, nor would I hold it on exchanges, even though I talk about these particular exchanges here for trading, because trading is a business. And if you want to trade for a business, as a business for yourself, Bybit, BitGet, huge deposit bonuses. Yes, they are sponsors of the channel. Yes, you will have to put money into those exchanges within your own account by using these links and trading on them to get those particular bonuses. That's just the way it works. And the other thing, we have big, massive Black Friday coming up this week. Big, massive black insert Black Friday special here. TICrypto.com/subscribe. That's coming out this week, so make sure you're subscribed if you want to get a good discount on the TIA Premium membership. That's the last of the shills I'll mention here, besides the ones down here. Ledger, keep your money on there, and of course my Twitter and Instagram somewhere down here. All right, over to Bitcoin now. So we've gone through the market caps. We've looked at what's happened to FTX. In terms of the market caps, these are my key levels that I'm watching on the way down for worst case scenario, and then we'll look at buy zones as well. First up is the tops. So this was the top of the pump, June 2019, top of the next pump. That was the bull market, and that was basically where the monthly candle closed. Bar candle closed at 13,900. This is the peak as well, 13,870. Call it 13,900. Basically 14K for a round number. October hit that peak, and then it started to break out. So this is the breakout markup. So the markup referencing Wyckoff schematics here, you have the markup and the markdown. Accumulation, the breakout, the markup, the distribution, and then the breakout and the markdown back into an accumulation zone. The next level down is the breakout retest. So I'm using the breakout of the key levels here that you can see at around that $10,000, $11,000. And then the market here in September of 2020 came back and tested the top of that level and closed at about 10,800. Now, this is important here because it comes through to our zones, like, the buying zones for the end of the cycle. And from that point, we broke out. So I see this zone as very, very important. It's the breakout of the accumulation and then the retest. I'm thinking about this from the point of view of an investor. If we are to get a breakout of that zone, we're obviously saying that this has the value here is very, very good. Underneath this zone, it's very, very good based on what we've seen in the past. Higher bottoms, time to break out and test higher prices to see where the supply comes back into the market, where everyone wants to sell out before we dump again. Under this level is the accumulation zone, because you can see we tested and then broke back underneath it. And basically, you have two different accumulations here, one between 6K and about 10, 11K, and then the other one between 3 and about 5 or 6. So two different accumulation zones there. Now, I would say this is the worst case scenario. If Bitcoin breaks this monthly swing bottom, the breakout retest bottom, this is going to be very, very bad for Bitcoin longer term, because it just means we'll probably grind out at these lower prices for a lot longer. A 4-year cycle will continue. We'll still get a move up, but it just won't be a big pump like we're expecting. We need a breakdown and just flush out of the hype of the last cycle. But a breakdown back into previous accumulation zones is a rather weak signal to say that there isn't even a higher low forming here above that accumulation zone. The accumulation zone was great value. We don't want it to fall back into a previous good value area. It just is not a good place for the market to pump up from. It will get a pump. We'll go on a 4-year journey again, but there would be less chance of it reaching that all-time high and going higher. You kind of want it to sit in a sweet spot, sort of 80%, no less for Bitcoin in this case. And eventually, once the market becomes more like a traditional market, it's more established, probably no more than about a 50% drop. Probably worst case scenario, 60% drop in terms of our ranges. So under 10K, which goes back into the previous accumulation zone, is not good for Bitcoin. I know people want to be scoring it under 10K, but the probabilities of that next big pump up are not so good. All right, so 77% down is the low right now, 77.4. The top of this range here is about 80. So somewhere at around that 13.8, which essentially lines up very, very well with the previous top here in June, is a good spot. Like I said here, it's not great, not bad, it's okay. I don't really want to see it go any lower than this level here of about 9,800, call it 10,000-ish, round number, that's what I've got here. And that brings us down to about an 85.5% decline from the top. So it's not great, but we still have the possibility of pumping up higher. When we start to fall under this zone, this is one of the biggest drops in Bitcoin's history. You don't want to see this at this stage of Bitcoin becoming a store of value, gold or whatever, right? You don't want to see that happen. I would say that a majority of smart money is probably cashed out at that point and is now leaving it for the dumb money to figure out whether it's going to be something else they want. It's just not a good look for it. I've said that over and over again. This is going to be the key level here. I don't want to see it break 10,000, which is why I put in a lot of those titles on the channel, just looking at kissing your 10K goodbye or anything like that. Not that it can't happen, because we did not break the 25.2, so that was this monthly top. If we broke that 25.2 on that run up this month or last month, that would have kissed the 10K goodbye. That's essentially what I was talking about in the videos. People just look at the title and think that that's what I'm saying moving forward. Not correct. But anyway, I'll leave that up to them to miss out on. For the downside here, what I've said is it is possible to go further, but you don't want to see that happen, because that would then drop it into a much weaker position, technically speaking. And you don't want to be buying stuff that is in a technically very, very weak position, because it just doesn't have that possibility. And now I got this question on Instagram the other day when I was doing Q&A. So if you're not following already, go down here. There's my Instagram and Twitter right there. And then answering someone's question about, well, where is your sellout level? Would you get out? And because my average price is quite good on Bitcoin, as I was in last cycle, I would look to wait for the next cycle and move up and still get a return on my BTC and cash out. Because to me, that would be a very weak sign. I'll just cash out on that next, most likely lower high, and then just wait for that dump over the next cycle. So you could see something like a 4-year play out if it was to get this low. There's your 20, pretty soon now. And then we start to move up quickly, maybe into 24, 25. I don't know the exact point there. And then we start to fade out again. So that could be a very bad case for Bitcoin. If this was to happen this month or next month into December, January, quick move up into later 2023. Maybe it does move into 24, 25, but I dare say that that's not going to be a good look for Bitcoin longer term if it's to go that far down. So I hope that makes a lot of sense and you can understand why, although it's nice to have lower prices, it's not great to have extremely low prices. Moving on to the purchasing now. So if you don't have a Bitcoin position, this will be very, very important for you if you were to start building a position now. So the positions that we looked at are through this 11,300 to 19.6. Now, just quickly looking at what we talked about here, if you were accumulating and then it started to break down again past this key zone, this could now become your stop loss. That is a key level here, around that 10,000, 9,800. If it broke down into this zone, I would look at this staying down for quite some time, meaning Bitcoin probably staying underneath that sort of $10,000, $14,000 level for a while it tried to make up again. So I can't give you financial advice. I'm just looking at the strength and the weakness on these charts here with where levels are looking stronger or weaker for accumulation, or in fact, getting out of positions. So that's what I'm talking about here. I have been buying underneath the 19.5K for my longer term holds. That's stuff that I talk about with the members and I post in real time when I'm buying and selling in the group. So if you're interested, go over and check out the TIA premium here. Subscribe. Black Friday is coming out this week and you'll get all of those updates throughout the bear market, bull market, as long as you're a member over there. So worst case, buying over. Let's take a look at these YouTube comments now and answering one of those. So going through here, filter duplicates, include replies to comments, filter comments based on yada yada. That's previous video here. All right, get your comments. I've done all this. Let's get them. We got 40 over here. Oh, let's do it. Go again. Took too long with the recapture. Get your comments, 98. Amount of copies, 40. Let's start the random pick. Hopefully you got a question. Max, great video. Tails. All right, well, thanks, Max. Let's pick another winner because we want a question from you guys. Tails, all the cash on the side to push things up. Then is it? Yes, I would say so. Let's do one more. I want to see someone who's got a nice big question here. Nope, Tails. Thank you, Chris. All right, I'm just going to pick a question over here because I want to answer one of your questions in the comment section. Heads, unfortunately, but this is a good question. Are most developed countries at the same stage of the 18.6 year cycle? More or less, yes, but we tend to focus on the US because it's the biggest market in the world. It affects everything else. Of course, UK as well, and then Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Singapore. We all sort of work around within that cycle as well. So great question. Unfortunately, it wasn't Tails. Let's look for one more with Tails. And the last one here from B Joy selects Tails. So I hope the majority continue to believe we'll see lower prices because then we may have seen the bottom. All right, guys, thanks again. Subscribe, bell notification icon, like the video up. Check out the videos that are popping up here on your left-hand side. Go down and sign up for the newsletter. Black Friday's coming up this week. I'll see you back here tomorrow. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. And until then, peace out.